Hello and welcome to AP Statistics. This is our first online video lesson, the first of many. So we are going to start at the beginning, the foundation of statistics, which is data. All statistics starts with data. If you have a question you want to ask, you have to go and collect data that you can then analyze. So we are going to start by looking at some of the vocabulary that we use to help describe data. So our objective here is to identify the individuals and variables of a data set and classify variables as quantitative or categorical. So first, in a data set, you have the individuals and the variables. The individuals and the variables. The individuals are simply the people you are asking a question of. Okay, so the individuals are the people or objects described by a data set. All right, they're the people you're asking the question of. Now, it doesn't actually always have to be people. You can ask things, questions, but we'll get to that when it pops up. So, you know who you're going to ask the question of. What are you asking them? Those are your variables. All right, that is any characteristic of an individual that can be given a value or category. Okay, that's the question you're asking. What do you want to know about these individuals, these people? All right, now once you have that down, it's good to classify the variables even further. So there's different types of variables, namely these two, quantitative variables and categorical variables. So hopefully you can see the root word in each of those. In quantitative, we have the root word quantity, and in categorical, we have the root word category. So those are the two types of questions that you can essentially ask. So let's put that down. So first, types of variables. Types of variables. The first is a categorical variable. So this is a variable that places individuals into a category. So what would that look like? I could ask you, hey, what is your favorite color? And you would tell me blue, red, green, yellow, etc. And that would put you all into different categories. All right, the next is a quantitative variable. So hopefully the word quantity makes you think of numbers. This is basically anything with, almost anything, with numbers in it. Okay, so it is a numerical variable for which it makes sense to take an average. So I was a little careful there. Not every number is necessarily a quantitative variable. Almost. But if it makes sense to take the average of something, then that is definitely a quantitative variable. Now, I'm going to break it down a little bit more even, because we can take the quantitative variables, and there's different types of quantitative variables. So, types of quantitative variables. Okay. There are two types of quantitative variables. The first is a discrete variable. So a discrete quantitative variable is when you ask a question and the numbers they give to you can't be any single number. It has to be a fixed set of values. So variables that take a fixed set of values. So it's very simple. If I asked a whole bunch of people, hey, how many cars does your family own? You'd have to give me the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. It'd be pretty hard to tell me, oh, we have 2.35 cars. That wouldn't make any sense at all. But I could still take everybody's answers and say, hey, on average, the whole class has 2.3 cars at home. That would make sense. But the answers that you give me would all have to be those discrete values, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, then the other side, continuous variables. So this is where they don't have fixed values. Essentially, any decimal is allowed. Any value in an interval. Okay, so here's if I asked you, hey, what's the battery life like on your phone? Well, you could give me any number you want, up to a certain point. Nobody has a 50-hour battery, I understand that. That's why we had to say in a given interval. But in that interval of numbers, you could be as precise as you want to be. You could tell me, oh, it's 2.384 hours. It's a little obnoxious, but sure, I kind of know what that means. But it could take any number in an interval. So that's kind of how we can take our data and just some communication vocabulary words that we should all be familiar with. And when we use these, hopefully you'll know what we are talking about. So let's put that into practice and actually classify a few things. I might recommend here, pause the video and see if you can categorize these on your own without me, and then I'll go over it. So we're going to have classify each of the following survey items as categorical. I'm not sure why that did that. That's fine. And quantitative. So pause the video, take a look. All right, hopefully you've got it there. Let's take a look at these categorical variables. Which one are these? So first one is ice cream. Is ice cream a number or a category? Definitely a category. You should be in the chocolate realm, hopefully, but ice cream, definitely a category. All right, GPA. So definitely a number. Does it make sense to take the average of that? So if I ask the whole class, hey, tell me what your GPA is, would it make sense to average all your answers? I think it would. I could say the average GPA of my class is blank, and that would make perfect sense. So GPA is definitely quantitative. All right, what about height? Again, a number. Would it make sense to say the average height of blank is? Yeah, that would work. So that's over here, height. Eye color. Well, hopefully the color gives it away. We're putting people into categories, blue eyes, brown eyes, etc., etc. Eye color is categorical. Number of siblings. Okay, so if I ask you how many siblings do you have, how many brothers or sisters, that would be a number over here. So siblings. Zip code. What would that one be? Now this one's the tricky one. A zip code is definitely a number, 93706. But that puts you into a category of where you live. It wouldn't make sense to take the average of zip codes. If I asked the whole class, hey, tell me what your zip code is, I wouldn't go around saying, oh, the average zip code of my class is blank, or the average zip code of Fresno is blank. So this is one of those where it is a number, but it's more of a category than a number. So that one actually goes over here. And birth month. So if you think, oh, I was born in April, that hopefully helps you get over here to categorical. But don't be confused, because sometimes you'll give your birth month as a number. I was born in April, but oftentimes when I give my birthday, I'll say, oh, it's 4/24/86. I'll do it as a number. That doesn't make it quantitative. It's still a category here. All right, we got to go a little bit further because our quantitative variables can be broken down even further. Are they continuous or are they discrete? So siblings, can it take any value, or does it have to take a fixed set of values? Siblings, you can only have 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or more, but you could never have 2.3. Well, no, you could never have 2.3. So this is definitely a discrete variable. Height. Could I say that I am 6.214876 feet tall? I suppose if I had an accurate or precise enough measuring stick, I could. Height could take on any number. This is continuous. Now, GPA, what about that? Could it be any number, or does it have to be a fixed set of values? And actually, this one you could sort of make an argument either way. Sometimes it's either, 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, and it sounds very discrete. But technically, if you take your grades and you do the division, there's so many different possibilities. You might say it's continuous. This one you can definitely argue either way, I think. So as long as you can sort of understand or back up your answer, you could probably put either one of those for GPA. All right, next one. Here's one more multiple choice question for you. Again, pause the video, try it out on your own before I do it, and we'll go over it. I don't believe that you've paused it yet. Pause the video. Pause it. All right, now I believe you. Which of the following does not describe a quantitative variable? So which one is categorical? Which one is not quantitative? So the number of times it takes someone to beat a level on a video game. So does it make sense to average that number? On average, it takes someone blank times. I think that's a good quantitative, so we don't want that one. The lengths of grasshoppers in a local park. Definitely quantitative. How long are they? I could just picture somebody crawling through the grass measuring grasshoppers. The percent of people who prefer to go out to eat rather than cook. The percent of people. Percents certainly look like numbers, don't they? But eating out and cooking. Let's see. Let's keep going. Let's leave that one alone for a second. The age of a president when they take office. All right, so how old they are, the age is definitely a number. So that's definitely categorical. Temperature readings from the bottom of Lake Tahoe. Whew, it's 100-some degrees outside right now. I'd like to go to Lake Tahoe. But the temperature, that's a number. Could you say something like the average temperature at the bottom of Lake Tahoe? I think you definitely could. So that one goes away. So now I got to convince you that the answer is number 3. That even though a percent is a number, that this is still a categorical variable. So to really do that, we should jump in this a little bit further and think about who are our individuals, and then what is our variable that we are asking. All right, so our individuals. We're going out and we're apparently asking a bunch of people. Doesn't really say who, but there is a group of people we are asking. Those are our individuals. Now, what are we asking? And here's where the key comes. We are not asking them about a percent. We are asking them, would you rather go out to eat versus cook at home? All right, we are asking them their preference for eating. Eating preference. And their eating preference, that has an E at the end, doesn't it, is definitely a categorical variable. I'll go up to them and say, hey, would you rather eat out or would you rather cook at home? And they would tell me, oh, I'd rather cook at home. That's not a number. Even though at the end, I'm going to take all the data and summarize it and say, hey, 30% of the people we asked wanted to eat at home. 70% wanted to go out to eat. I may use numbers to summarize my findings, but the actual variable of interest, the thing I asked, was a categorical variable. All right, I hope that made sense. If not, come ask me some questions.